Hello students, welcome to Zoology Classroom. In this video, we are going to discuss about classification of circulatory mechanisms. First of all, let us know what is the need of the circulatory systems. So in the animal kingdom, protozoans were the first animals. So these animals, they require different materials for the life to sustain. So they require nutrients to get energy. They require oxygen to liberate energy from the food materials. And they also need to be eliminate the waste materials generated in the life processes or biochemical reactions. So all these, so some materials have to enter in the body, some materials have to exit out of the body. So in the protozoans, as they are single-celled animals, all these transport of materials will happen across the membrane. So they do not require any special systems. But whereas in case of high-level animals, complex multicellular animals, they have got a big body. So they are having different types of organ systems. So in these organ systems, in their complex bodies, some specialized organ systems have been developed. So these specialized systems, each one will perform a different function. Say, for example, respiratory system, it will receive oxygen, and digestive system, it will receive nutrients, and kidneys, they will expel nitrogenous waste materials. Likewise, lungs expel carbon dioxide, and some endocrine system is there. In this endocrine system, some endocrine glands are there. So these endocrine glands, they will secrete substances called as hormones, which regulate our body function. So these hormones have to be transported from the endocrine glands to the area where they exert their effects. So in this way, some materials have to be collected from one system, but these materials have to be distributed to all other systems. Likewise, from all other systems, some nitrogenous waste materials or carbon dioxide have to be collected, and they have to be given to the excretory system and respiratory system to send them out of our body. So in this way, circulation of materials is very, very essential in highly complex organisms. So for that purpose, to do this circulation of materials, to transfer the materials from here to there, from there to here, a special system is required. And for that purpose, a circulatory system has been developed in the highly complex organisms. So, and next, what are the components of the circulatory system? So in each circulatory system, in case of vertebrates, they will be possessing a heart which acts like a pump. It will pump the blood. And apart from heart, some blood vessels will be there. In these blood vessels, three types of blood vessels will be there. Arteries, they will take blood from the heart and they will supply blood to all other organs in the body. And veins, they will collect blood from the all tissues and they will send this blood to the heart. And connecting both these hearts and lungs, small blood vessels will be there. They are called as blood capillaries. So one heart, second is blood vessels. In blood vessels, we have three types: arteries, veins, and blood capillaries. And third one is blood. So this blood is very, very important one. So this is the important component in the circulatory system. Actually, all the works which are to be conducted or which are to be performed by the circulatory system will be done actually by blood itself. So to allow the flow of the blood in required regions, in required directions, blood vessels are there. And to pump the blood to all body parts and to receive the blood from all body parts, a pumping organ is required. For that purpose, a heart pumping system has been developed. So these are the components of the circulatory system. 1, heart; 2, blood vessels; 3, blood. So these are the 3 important components of the circulatory system. And now, what are the types of the circulatory system? In the animal kingdom, 2 types of circulatory systems are there. So these 2 types of circulatory systems are: 1, open circulatory system; second one is closed circulatory system. So these are the 2 important types of blood circulatory systems that can be seen in the animal kingdom. In open circulatory system also, we can see these 3 components. One is a pumping organ, heart; second one, arteries supplying blood supplying vessels; and the third one is blood supplying, blood collecting vessels, veins will be there. So in this thing, blood also will be there. So here, what is the difference is that in this thing, both here we can see 2 arteries will be there. So these arteries, they will supply blood to the tissues, but here at the tissues, blood will come out of the blood vessels. So here we can see in this diagram that both these 2 arteries are ended, or they are open at their endings. So through these openings, blood will come out of the circulatory system, and it will freely flow in the open areas. So, and from these open areas, again, all this blood will enter into the heart through small holes present on the heart walls, and these small holes are called as ostium. So in this open circulatory system, so blood vessels, supplying blood vessels will be there. These supplying blood vessels, they openly supply blood into these open spaces present inside the body, and from these open spaces, blood will enter into the heart, and from heart again, this blood will be circulated through these arteries again. So here in this way, in open circulatory system, blood vessels will be there, heart will be there, blood also will be there, but these blood vessels are open type, so they will supply blood into open spaces. So at some places we can see blood flowing through pipes and heart, and remaining places blood can be seen with naked eye. So it flows in the open spaces or open cavities. So this type of circulatory system can be seen in some arthropods and some molluscans. This is very primitive type of circulatory system. And second one is a very highly developed circulatory system that is called as closed circulatory system. So in this closed circulatory system, we can see heart and blood supplying vessels called as arteries, and these blood capillaries, small capillaries will be there. So these capillaries are the regions from where nutrients will enter into the interstitial fluid, and carbon dioxide, nitrogenous waste materials will enter into the blood here at this blood capillaries region usually. And from these blood capillaries again, after the materials exchange is taken place, from blood, oxygen, nutrients, hormones will enter into tissue fluid. From tissue fluid, nitrogenous waste materials and remaining waste materials like carbon dioxide will enter into the blood. So now the blood has got the waste material. So now it is deoxygenated blood. So this deoxygenated blood will be sent into veins. So here in this diagram, it is given wrongly. So these are veins. So from these veins, the blood will be supplied to the heart. So in this way, in these organisms, blood is completely flowing in a closed circuit, in a closed environment. So all these pipes are connected with each other. Nowhere they are open, nowhere they are allowing the blood to go out of these blood vessel system. So that's why blood completely will be flowing inside a closed circulatory system. So that's why this type of circulatory system is called as closed circulatory system. Closed circulatory system can be seen in all vertebrates and in some invertebrates also, like annelids also will be possessing this closed circulatory system. So these are the 2 types of circulatory mechanisms that can be seen in animal kingdom. One is open circulatory system, second one is closed circulatory system. Now let us see from protozoa to the vertebrates how the circulatory function is being performed. So as this, we are seeing a amoeba in this diagram, in this slide. So this amoeba belongs to protozoa. So as protozoans are unicellular organisms, so and outside their bodies, they are having this what surroundings are environments. So in this environment, usually this is a water body. So from the water, they will receive oxygen, they will receive nutrients in the form of food vacuole. So with the help of pseudopodia, they will receive food and they will form food vacuoles inside their cytoplasm. So materials like oxygen and nutrients are taken through this plasma membrane only. So once the materials, oxygen and food enter into the cell, they will participate in all biochemical reactions. As a result, waste materials like urea, ammonia, and carbon dioxide will be generated. So this carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste materials, again, they will be expelled out of the cell through this plasma membrane only. So this plasma membrane, through this plasma membrane, a process called diffusion. So through a process called diffusion, all these transportation of materials work will be done. So for that purpose, they do not require any special circulatory system. And coming to the next phyla, that is Porifera. So in Porifera, the sponges have developed a very special type of circulatory system called as canal system. So this canal system cannot be considered as a blood circulatory system. Why? Because we cannot see blood vessels or blood and heart in these organisms. So even though they are multicellular, but they are not highly complex structured animals. They are simple animals when compared to high level animals. So these animals, as they are stationary, usually they are stationary, sedentary, and they mostly live in aqueous environments, so that for that purpose, through the water currents only, they will receive oxygen, they will receive food materials. So for that purpose, they need to allow the water flow throughout their body. So to allow the water to flow throughout their body, they have developed a special circulatory system called as canal system. So through this canal system only, they will receive oxygen, they will receive food, and they will expel waste materials, carbon dioxide through this water only. So this is how the poriferans have solved the problem of circulation or transportation of materials from outside the body and within inside the body. And coming to next phyla, coelenterates. In coelenterates, they also have a very simple system to achieve this circulatory function. So they are having a coelenteron which is present in the inside of the body, and this circulatory system, this coelenteron is acting like a circulatory system. So through this coelenteron, through this mouth, they will take food inside this coelenteron. In the coelenteron, digestion takes place. Digested food materials will enter into these cells in the body walls through the cells which are present in this gastrodermis. So through gastrodermis, food materials enter into the body, and oxygen also will enter into the body through this gastrodermis. And as all these cnidarians are also live in water bodies, so outside their bodies also water will be there. So from this water, they can receive oxygen. So oxygen enters into the body through epidermis and through gastrodermis, but food materials will enter through gastrodermis only. Why? Because food will be taken into the coelenteron. Digestion takes place in coelenteron only. So digested food materials enter into the body through this gastrodermis only. And the waste materials, unwanted waste materials like carbon dioxide, ammonia, or urea will be expelled both through this epidermis and endodermis directly into the water through process called as diffusion. So as we have seen in amoeba case, by the same diffusion process, waste materials will be eliminated into this water. So this is how the circulatory system of coelenterate will work. And the next phyla, Platyhelminthes. So as we know, Platyhelminthes animals, they will possess a flat bodies, ribbon-like bodies. So in these organisms, they have developed some digestive system is there. And apart from this digestive system, some excretory system also will be there. In this excretory system, they have got flame cells and some excretory canals are there. So usually most of the Platyhelminthes animals are parasites. Usually they are endoparasites, so they live within the bodies of their host. So for that purpose, they receive already digested food materials. So in some animals, the digested food directly enters into their bodies through this epidermis. In some free living animals where they have digestive system, they can take food materials and they will digest them and they will then absorb them into their body. So within this, in between this gut wall and this body wall, a special type of system will be there that is called parenchyma. So a parenchyma tissue will be there. So there is no space in between these. So body cavity is not there. So they are acoelomates. So in between the body wall and gut wall, special tissue called parenchyma will be there. So through this parenchyma only, the materials will be transferred from one cell to another cell, from one region to another region. So in this way, these Platyhelminthes animals also, they will helminthes animals, they will not have any special circulatory system. Parenchyma serves the function. And coming to these nematodes, in nematodes we can see pseudocoelom can be seen. In pseudocoelom, we can find that a body wall, inside the body wall, muscular layer will be there, but the digestive system will not be surrounded by a muscular layer. So to call it a true coelom, both the outside the digestive tract must be covered with a muscle layer made up of mesoderm or mesoderm, and the body wall, inside of the body wall also must be circled by a muscular layer. So both these things should be circled by a muscular layer, but muscular layer is limited to this inside of the body wall only. So for that purpose, the coelom that we see is actually the blastocele. So blastocele of the embryo continues in adult stage also. So that's why this is not a true coelom. We call it as pseudocoelom. So in this pseudocoelom, pseudocoelomic fluid will be there. So from the digestive system, the digested materials will enter into the pseudocoelom, and pseudocoelom transfers these materials to this remaining parts which are present in the body. And most of these Nematohelminthes animals are also parasites, endoparasites. So they will receive oxygen. They will receive oxygen from the body wall through simple diffusion. In case of if they are free living animals, if they are parasites, they do not require oxygen at all. So they will practice anaerobic respiration. All endoparasites practice anaerobic respiration. So for that purpose, they do not require oxygen at all. In case of free living, some free living nematodes are also there. The free living nematodes, mostly they are they live in water bodies. So from water, they will receive oxygen through this body wall. So again, this oxygen will be transferred into this pseudocoelomic fluid. From this coelomic fluid, the oxygen will be supplied to all these systems which are present in the body. So pseudocoelomic fluid is serving, or it is acting as a circulatory system. So no special circulatory system is present in nematodes. So from the coelenterates, from the Porifera to coelenterates, Platyhelminthes and Nematohelminthes, we do not see any special type of circulatory system in them. In Nematohelminthes, pseudocoelomic fluid serves the function. In Platyhelminthes animals, parenchyma serves the function. In Cnidarians, coelenteron and the water present in the coelenteron serves the function, and in poriferans canal system, and the water circulating or flowing through the canal system will be helpful in doing the circulatory system's functions. And coming to this arthropoda animals, in arthropodans, we can see open type of circulatory system. So in arthropodans, heart will be there. So usually the heart will be, it is multi-chambered in many of the arthropods. And from this heart, some blood vessels will be there, like arteries. So these arteries, they will receive blood from the heart, and the blood will be supplied into this small blood vessels, arteries. From these blood vessels, the heart will be supplied into these different cavities present inside the body. So one cavity is perivisceral cavity. This perivisceral cavity encircle the all visceral organs. Another cavity is around this pericardial cavity, so which is surrounding the heart, and another cavity is perineural cavity, which will be circulating this perineural cavity will be encircling the nervous system, ventral nervous system. Apart from this, one cavity also will be there in this head region. So from the heart, blood will be entering into this head region, the cavity present in the sinus. From there, it will enter into this perineural cavity and perivisceral cavity. From these cavities, again, blood will be entering into this heart through this ostia present on the lateral sides of the heart. So in this way, this belongs to open type of circulatory system. In this open type of circulatory system, we cannot distinguish between blood and lymph and tissue fluid. So here all these things, tissue fluid, lymph and blood, the three will be fused together, so that we call it as a hemolymph. So the flowing liquid in the circulatory system of open circulatory system in arthropods is called as hemolymph, but not as the blood. And again, in case of annelidans also, we can find a circulatory system that belongs to closed circulatory system. So we will see about it later. Another type of circulatory system, open circulatory system, can be seen in molluscans also. In molluscans also, heart will be there and blood vessels will be there, and in some sinuses, in some areas, perivisceral sinus and remaining areas also, some sinuses will be there. So into the sinuses, blood will be supplied through these arteries, and some veins also will be there. From these veins, blood will be collected into these veins, and from veins again, the blood will be circulated into this heart region. So open circulatory system is present in molluscans also. And in echinodermates also, the circulatory system is called as water vascular system. So here no separate blood circulatory system is developed. So in this also, hemolymph will be there. Water vascular system is different one. So in this also, open circulatory system will be there. So heart will be there, and from this heart, the blood will be supplied into these open spaces which are present inside these 5 arms and in the central disc of the organism. So in these organisms are also, blood is called as hemolymph, as we cannot distinguish blood with lymph and tissue fluid. So all these 3 groups of animals, echinodermates, molluscans and arthropods, will be possessing open type of circulatory system. And coming to closed circulatory system can be seen in annelids. In annelids also, heart and blood vessels, arteries, veins will be there. So in that also we can see closed type of circulatory system. So in vertebrates, in fishes and remaining other groups of vertebrates like amphibians, reptiles, mammals and aves, all these 5 groups of animals are also will be possessing closed circulatory system. So in this closed circulatory system, fish will be having a single circulatory system. In this fishes, we can see single circulatory system. So in this, what will be happening? All the tissues present in the body, all the organs present in the body, they will send blood to this heart through veins. So blood will be supplied to the heart through this vein. So, and this blood from this heart will be supplied to this gills for purification or oxygenation. And the oxygenated blood from these gills again will not come to the heart. Instead, it will directly will be supplied to this body tissues. So in this way, blood is flowing through heart through once only. So only one time only blood will be going through the heart. So so this is called as single circulation. So in the single circulation mechanism, only deoxygenated blood will be flowing through this heart. So for that purpose, the heart of the fishes is called as venous heart, as they are possessing blood coming from veins only or deoxygenated blood only. So this is about single circulation. In this single circulation, we can find the single circulation in all fishes. And coming to amphibians, in amphibians, we can see the initiation of double circulation. So in this, blood will be supplied to this heart from all organs through three major veins. So this deoxygenated blood will be entering into this right auricle. So in amphibians, three chambers will be there in this heart. Two right auricle, one left auricle. So two auricles will be there and one ventricle will be there. So right auricle will receive the deoxygenated blood from all organs except lungs. So all organs except lungs will supply deoxygenated blood through three major veins to this right auricle. From right auricle, the blood will enter into ventricle. From ventricle, through pulmonary arteries, the blood will be supplied to these both lungs. So in the lungs, oxygen will be added to the blood. So deoxygenated blood now becomes oxygenated blood. So this oxygenated blood will be sent to the left auricle through pulmonary veins. So the through two pulmonary veins coming from two lungs will supply purified blood or oxygenated blood. And this oxygenated blood will be entering into this ventricle. So in the ventricle, what is happening? The blood coming from right auricle is deoxygenated blood. Blood coming from left auricle is oxygenated blood. So both are fusing in this ventricle. So mixed blood will be there. So this mixed blood will be supplied to all other organs to this major artery. So through this major artery, mixed blood will be supplied to this organ. So here in this amphibians, mixed blood will be flowing through this heart. And here, if we keenly observe, we can see that blood is flowing through the heart two times before it reaches the tissues. So here we can see now blood entered into the heart. From this, it is going to the lungs, and from lungs again, heart is entering into this heart. So before the blood reaches this heart, it is going through the heart two times. So that's why it is called as double circulation. Even though it is double circulation, as the ventricle is not completely separated, mixed blood will be there in the ventricle, and this mixed blood only will be supplied to this all major systemic organs in the body. So this is about the circulatory system in amphibians. Coming to circulatory system in reptiles, since reptile circulatory system somewhat developed than the amphibians, as the ventricle in this heart of the reptiles is partially separated or partially bifurcated. So in one group of reptiles, that is crocodiles, the heart is completely divided into four chambers. So the circulatory system of crocodiles will be similar to the circulatory system of aves and mammals. So remaining reptiles will be having incompletely divided ventricle. So in these organisms, only little amount of mixed blood will be there, but mixing of blood will be prevented to the maximum extent. So likewise, in remaining fishes and amphibians, in these reptiles also, all the systemic organs, they will supply blood, deoxygenated blood through this veins to this right auricle. From right auricle, blood will go to right ventricle. From right ventricle, through pulmonary arteries, blood will be supplied to lungs, where oxygenation takes place. Oxygenated blood will be supplied to left auricle through pulmonary veins, and from this left auricle, blood will enter into left ventricle. From left ventricle, through systemic artery, blood will be supplied to systemic organs, remaining systemic organs, except the remaining than this lungs. So in this way, completely, almost the ventricles are almost, they are divided into two separate chambers. So mixing of blood is prevented in these reptiles, and it is completely prevented in crocodiles. And coming to the circulatory system of birds and mammals, both the groups will be possessing the same type of circulatory system. Complete double circulation will be there. So blood will be flowing through the heart 2 times before it reaches the systemic organs. So here in these organs also, in these organisms, mammals and aves also, deoxygenated blood will be supplied through 3 major veins to the right auricle. From right auricle, it will go to right ventricle. From there, through pulmonary artery to the lungs, and from lungs, oxygenated blood will return to the left ventricle. Left ventricle through pulmonary veins, and from there, blood will reach the left ventricle. From left ventricle, the blood will be supplied to all organs except lungs through these systemic arteries or dorsal aorta. So this is in these organisms, we can see double circulation. In this double circulation, one circulation that occurs in between blood and lungs is called as pulmonary circulation, and the circulation that occurs in between heart and systemic organs is called as systemic circulation. So 2 types of circulations will be there in mammals and aves also. So this is about circulatory systems, circulatory mechanisms in animal kingdom. With this, this topic is over. Let us meet with another topic in next class.